Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. We're your hosts, Bull and P, and we just wanted to come on here and celebrate with everybody because there's a lot of good things happening with our volunteers. Number one, man, Coach Saban steps down, and we see a mass exodus of all these five-star, four-star blue chip players from Alabama. I think they're up to like 27 players that have either already entered into the transfer portal or some guys in the 2025 and 2026 classes deciding not to go to Alabama. So that's huge news. Then we've also got Florida, who is under NCAA investigation for some NIL scandals that they had this past season with that quarterback that they offered like $13 million. We all heard about that. And then we've got the biggest one of all in UGA. We'll touch on all of that. But we're also going to talk about the Polynesian Bowl, what our thoughts were of our 5 volunteers in that game. And clearly, we can start it off with Lance Hurd being officially a volunteer. P, I know that you saw that news. I know that everyone else saw that news. We knew that he was in the boat. And, now that it is official, he is in the registrar for the school. Feels really good to know that we're going to have a very solid offensive line moving forward. But, P, what are your thoughts on Lance Hurd?
Man, Lance Hurd, that's a big time pickup. I mean, he's 5-star across the board, physicality, athleticism, mentality, the whole package. I think 6'6", 340. I mean, true freshman. So I mean, this is a huge pickup because we got this kid for at least 2 more years, barring something unforeseen. So I think he's your immediate plug and play left tackle. Could play right tackle as well. You see his high school film. He's playing a lot of right tackle. Played at LSU last year. Can do it both. Could probably play guard if he needed to. I mean, in my opinion, he's probably the best O-lineman we've had here since Trey Smith. Or sorry, let's not discount Darnell Wright, but I mean, he's in that elk. You know what I mean? So just kind of fits in the long line of physically dominant offensive lineman we've had here past few years, and I mean, he's a plug and play guy. Huge pickup for this staff, and fills a big hole for this team next season.
Absolutely. So we also have to find a left guard. Now, I did see Jackson Lampley went to Twitter and I guess all of social media, and he said that he is going to be coming back, and absolutely love what he wrote right there. I actually commented on it, and I told him, man, that gave me chills. You know what I'm saying? Brought a tear to my eyes. So hopefully he can step up. I mean, I don't want to just kind of like skip over him. Clearly, he's very passionate about our volunteers, and so is Dane Davis. He kind of did the same thing earlier in this week. But we do have, I feel like, some pretty solid offensive line depth. I would say at left guard, and then obviously we've got Dane Davis who can kind of help us out and be kind of like a swing tackle if anything happens. But we are going to need to depend on some of these younger guys to step up, and we can kind of shift gears to that Polynesian Bowl. And, Bennett Warren is a guy that a whole lot of Vol fans really seem to love. He's got great size. You can tell that he's going to be a very good football player. But I've said this pretty much since I watched his film that he's still got a ways to go. He's going to have to get his footwork better, his hands, all of that. He may kind of need to, I don't know if he necessarily has to lose some weight, but he might need to kind of like change his body composition and maybe get in better shape, especially with an offense that likes to go high tempo all the time. But I think that maybe like in a year or two, he could be a really good tackle for this team. Pete, did you get a chance to see Bennett Warren in the Polynesian Bowl?
Yeah, I got to see a few snaps of him, and I mean the same things that me and you see every time we watch him. Looks like kind of like a newborn calf at times. It's like his legs are too small for his upper body. Not a lot of muscle mass. You know what I mean? Like we're not bashing the kid. We're just saying things that the reason why we think he's at least a 1 to maybe 2 year project before he really contributes. Gets beat with speed still. Doesn't like he bends very well. But if he gets his paws on it, he seems to be able to move you and holds up well. He's not terrible. I think if he were thrust into action next season, it definitely would probably be a weak spot. But I think he could do decent. I think he could do decent. Yeah, he definitely has a long way to go. But definitely love his attitude. He loves Tennessee, and looking forward to his future and him developing under Ellaby and Coach Heupel, and hopefully that strength staff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not going to go too far into what our depth chart looks like, but obviously, man, like you just talked about Coach E, and I think that we're going to have to see some guys from that 2023 class step up. Okay, like they should probably be in that 2 deep, and if they're not, then I think that there's an issue right there. Some of the other freshmen I think could have a good chance to maybe step up and be some good depth pieces for us. But let's move on to some other players because we do have some dogs out there, okay? So number one, let's talk about Jake Merklinger. That's the 4-star quarterback from South Georgia. I like what I saw from him. You can tell that he's got the size. He's got the arm talent. I think that he was a little bit nervous. I did notice that in that long toss that they did earlier in the week. He did come in second place right there, but you could tell that there was a little bit of nerves with him right there. So I think that once he kind of settles in and gets more comfortable with being a quarterback, on this level, versus this level of competition, I think that he's going to be really, really good. I saw some great throws. Obviously, he's got that zip on his passes. There was one, it was maybe like a 45 or so yard pass that he fit into like a high-low coverage, like it might have been cover two. There was a player right up underneath. I think he threw it to like a tight end or something like that. And, the ball hit him. The safety was over the top, but, that was a very well-placed ball. I saw some good deep out throws from him. Like I said, he does have that zip to his passes. And then there was another one that he threw, I think, going into the end of the half or something like that, where he hit that same tight end. Okay, the ball hit him right in his hands. Now the commentator said it was kind of a duck, but I thought that was a well placed ball. So you can tell that he's got all the skills necessary. But P, what was your thoughts from Big Jake?
Well, unfortunately, I freaking lost track of time. It was like 10:45, and I was like, oh, shoot, the game's on. So I didn't see any of the first half. So I only saw his second half, which, he didn't look very good from the two series I saw. His first series was the one when, he went, I can't remember the first two plays, but that third down, he tries to scramble out, takes a little bit of a shot, fumbles it. That was kind of my first series seeing him. I said, okay, he does look nervous. Then the next series, he looked a little more poised, but didn't really see him get to push the ball down the field or anything like that. So really all I can speak to is kind of his athleticism. He shows that he can move, can skip the pocket. Didn't like that, he had that it was a bad snap on that third down, I think it was, and he couldn't quite get it off the ground. You want to have guys that can get those balls off the ground. So just from what I saw, there's a lot I want to see him improve on. He has a lot to learn, a lot to develop, but I definitely like his upside. I think he's big. He looks good out there physically. Like I said, athleticism, and you saw him make some good throws earlier in that game. So I think for him, it's just getting that confidence up, being around some collegiate guys, some big-time athletes, and just continuing to develop that psyche so he can go out there and compete for a starting job. Because, hey, 2026, everybody's crowning McIntyre as the guy. Hey, we've been saying all along, don't count Merklinger out. I think he has what it takes. He just needs to continue to develop.
Yeah, so, and then, too, I just want to say this for everybody. Whenever you're doing these all-star games, the offenses usually are not going to gel very well just because you have such a limited time to practice with these guys. So there's going to be some miscues and things like that. Sometimes, like the timing is off and the throws might look bad, or, guys aren't catching because the ball's just, it's coming out of the quarterback's hand differently from what they're used to. So, just take all of that, as far as the stats and stuff, take that with a grain of salt. What we're really looking at is, what can these players turn into once they get on campus at Tennessee? And we could tell that for sure with the first two guys that we talked about, they are, what their ratings say that they are. And they've got some really high ceilings. So I am very, happy, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to be doing on campus. Now, let's go ahead and talk about, let's go ahead and flip to defense real quick because we're going to talk about Mike Matthews last. But real quick, man, I'm going to say this. Spillman looks great. Okay.
It looks great.
Yeah. He looks like he is a Mike, prototype Mike linebacker. He's an absolute and total dog, sideline to sideline, fits those gaps well. Saw him kind of getting into some personal battles, tossing guys, kind of like late after those plays, which some of y'all might not like. And I don't think that Coach Heupel likes it. If I do have, I guess one gripe with Coach Heupel is that he doesn't like to see his players fighting, but you need to have your guys fighting, especially, in that summer camp. You want to know that you've got guys with some edge to them. And, Spillman, he's definitely one of those guys. Okay, Jordan Ross, he looks like he can come in, and I think he could play a lot as a true freshman. Really fast off of that edge, great burst. He's got great length. You see him being extremely dominant. He's got beautiful closing speed, and he's another one. He's a dog. He was making sacks or making tackles. He's standing over folks. He's also just like Spillman. He's kind of getting into some of those personal battles and, just kind of going to the echo of that whistle. So you love to see that. Looks like he's 6'5", 230, long arms. He's going to contribute, I believe, a lot as a true freshman. We'll see what happens in the offseason. But now let's go ahead and talk about Mike Matthews because he ended up winning co-MVP of the game. That's 2 years back-to-back that Tennessee has MVP players in the Polynesian Bowl, both of them being on offense. We know that Mike Matthews is going to be coming into a wide receiver core that wasn't great last season. Okay, we needed to get a shot of some speed, shot of some dog in that room, and he's definitely going to add to it. How much is he going to play as a true freshman? I'm not quite sure, but he looks the part. I mean, he's very fast. He's same thing. He's a daggum dog. You see him blocking, and we actually saw this from his high school film. Where he's blocking, and the kid pushes his daggum helmet off because he's dogging him so bad, and then Mike Matthews tosses him. So you gotta love the edge that a lot of these players are coming in with. P, what are your thoughts on those three players?
Yeah, I mean, starting with Mike Matthews, yeah, he's an absolute dog. I mean, he's a dog. There's no other way to put it. That's exactly what that kid is. He's everything you want from wide receiver. Has good size. He's going to continue to get bigger, fast. I think he's faster than people give him credit for. He can freaking run. Deep ball threat, has that swag, has that confidence. So super excited about him, man. Like you said, you love the physicality, outside blocking on the perimeter. I mean, he just blocks his guy so easily. He's such a good blocker, just runs great routes, good hands. Want to see him continue to develop with his consistency. I saw Raiola hit him with a fade ball. They were down in the red zone, hit him with a fade ball. It kind of hit him in his hand. It would have been a good catch, but something that you expect a guy like him to be able to make. And I think he'll get there for sure. But he comes to a receiver room loaded with talent, loaded with potential. Can he earn some playing time this season? I mean, I would think so. I think he's that good, and he should. I think he's an upgrade from some of the other guys we already have on that roster. So excited about him. And then the two guys on defense, Jordan Ross. I mean, yeah, like you said, he should play a lot. Probably at all the freshmen. I mean, does he get the most playing time? Maybe. I mean, I think he is probably the best player at his class. I think he comes in, steps on campus as probably the second best edge rusher immediately. I know, here's the deal. We haven't seen him against collegiate guys, so there's a lot to see. But just what you see from him against high school guys, the way he does it almost too easily. It's like you're a teacher and you have a kid that's getting 95s, but he could be getting 100s. But it's just too easy for him. You know what I mean? So you bump him up a couple levels, and now he's actually having to work, and you really see his full potential. That's kind of where he is. I think he'll get even better when he gets to college, and be even more dominant. So super excited about him. And then Edwin Spillman, my first time really going to see him play live like that, and I love the way he plays. I mean, he's not the fastest guy, but you can tell he's running hard, playing hard, sticks his face in there. There's one time I saw, I think it was the guard in the center, maybe it was the guard and tackle, came out to block him, and he freaking takes them both on him, like rips right through the middle of both of them. I mean, he is a dog, and he's another one. People aren't talking about him. Can he crack his way onto the field this season? Coach BJ likes to rotate guys. I can see him playing a little bit this season, and being a real factor for us. So just guys with the right mentality. The last three guys talked about, Matthews, Ross, Spillman. Those are the type of guys I want on the field when we go play Georgia and Bama. And these guys, freaking dogs. And those guys are freaking dogs. So excited about them.
Yeah, definitely. So I can also say this, okay, with Jordan Ross. Well, you know what? Let me just step back. With all of these guys, you can kind of tell just based off of how they're playing versus, this is an all-star game. So everyone who's playing in it, these are all very good players. But you can tell just with little things whose game is going to translate well to the next level in college. I can tell you with Jordan Ross, his speed is going to be a problem from day one. Okay, his length is going to be a problem from day one. Now, where he's going to have to kind of like work at is being able to maybe take on some blocks with a little bit more strength, and he's going to have to work on some different moves outside of his speed. I want to see him start to do that early because he is a guy that I think he's going to be double digit, probably every season once he turns into a starter. I think he's going to end up, he's got the potential. We've said this several times, to be better than James Pierce. And then, P, like you just said, with Edwin Spillman, I do think, honestly speaking, man, just watching him play in this Polynesian Bowl, I already think that he's better than some of the linebackers that were starting last season. I think that he immediately comes on campus and he's better than those guys. The problem with playing linebacker as a true freshman is there's so much to learn. You really have to know a lot about the different schemes and all that, not only of your own team, which isn't too hard, playing on that side of the football, but having to know the offensive schemes and all that and knowing where to be, that's where it's going to get a little bit more difficult for them. But he does, I've heard him speak several times. He sounds like he's a really, really smart kid. So I think he's going to pick it up well. I think he's going to, be one of those guys that we do see rotate in early. And, I would say probably all of these guys outside of Jake and probably Bennett Warren I think outside of those two, everyone else should be probably rotating in that we saw in this game. Now, let's go ahead and shift gears because we already talked about Bama, right? Okay. We already talked about what's going on at Florida, and now we're about to talk about Georgia. So those are, I think, our three biggest rivals. Some people have, rivalries with some of these other schools and programs, which, I kind of get it. But at the same time, those ain't really rivalries because those teams don't really have, a daggone pulse. Like we don't lose to those guys. So I don't really care. Like they don't worry me. They don't bother me. For us, though, Pete, growing up in Georgia, Georgia's our big. We hate Georgia. Okay, we can't stand them because we have to deal with their fans. I think that really, you talk about Alabama, Florida, Georgia. Those are the three worst fan bases in the SEC, and I would say that Georgia's the worst fan base out of all fan bases, period, on the face of this planet. They are annoying. Okay, they think that they are, the next Bama. They think that Kirby Smart is Nick Saban. They've got this very arrogant way about themselves. They're very condescending. We've seen them coming to this channel, being heavy in the comment section, talking about, oh, Caleb Downs, he's a lock, he's a dog, da. We told y'all first. We told y'all first that we didn't think that was going to happen. We felt like Caleb Downs was going to the Buckeyes. So let's just kind of go back, right? Nick Saban steps down. Okay, it sounds like Kirby Smart knew that was coming. He's already tampering, right? He's already talking to Caleb, okay? He's already trying to bring him in. And then what he does is he goes out and hires Coach T-Rob, okay, to come to Georgia, okay, makes him the co-defensive coordinator, bumps his guy, okay, his ace Boone Coon, and Will Muschamp bumps him down. And then they try to cover it up and say, oh, well, Coach Muschamp just wanted to spend more time with his family, blah, blah, blah. That ain't what it was, okay? Kirby Smart did that all in the sole hopes of trying to get Caleb down. So, like we said, okay, and I don't want to say this for sure. It's not concrete. This is just speculation. But from what I know about how their family feels about Georgia and about Kirby Smart, I think that that Gary Downs, who is Caleb's father, and I really think all of them, I think that they, intentionally set Georgia up to make them feel like, and they didn't just do it once, they did it twice. I think that they intentionally set Georgia up to make them think, hey, Caleb's going to come here, right? And they got their fans all riled up thinking that Caleb Downs was going to be coming there. So, number one, right, we're seeing on all these Georgia message boards and we're hearing it from Georgia fans, oh, Caleb Downs, he was on campus. This was prior to him like really being in the portal totally, right? So I was like, well, if he is already on campus, that's tampering because he has to, like, the school has to clear him first before he can talk to anybody from Georgia. So that was number one. Okay, that was a bold-faced lie. And then they're, saying, oh, well, Caleb is already out here shopping for, he's looking for a place to live at and all that type of stuff. That was a bold-faced lie. We've got all these Georgia insiders saying, oh, it's a done deal and, it's coming down to the final hour. Caleb's going to come out here soon. And lo and behold, Caleb comes out and announces that he's going to the Ohio State University. And as a Tennessee fan, as a fan of a team in the SEC, we all should be very, very excited because Caleb Downs is an absolute and total dog. I can tell you this from working with him, firsthand, from seeing him up close and personal. He's a football guy. He's serious about what he does. And that's the only reason I was like, well, maybe he might kind of consider going to Georgia because, from a football point of view, that probably would have been a really good move for him, but he didn't do it. And now Kirby Smart in Georgia, they look like a bunch of idiots because, you've hired this new coach. Okay. You slided one of your, old coaches, a guy that you've known for decades. And also, these guys, in the 2024, 2023 classes, they're looking at y'all like, well, damn. I mean, you went out, you did all this just to go and get Caleb Downs so that he could take my spot. So you really don't trust me. You don't think that I can come out here and daggone ball. If I'm any of those guys, KJ Bolden, all those guys who we know are true studs, real ballers, I'd be transferring up out of Georgia. I'd be gone, or for somebody like KJ, he don't have to transfer out. He can just switch it up right here, right now. And I would not be surprised to see that happen. I think that Georgia is about to lose a whole lot of players behind what Kirby Smart just did. And that right there is what we're talking about with the, idiot bonehead coach who really mismanages the talent that he has. We've seen it for a long time, mismanaging five-star quarterbacks and, on and on and on and on and on. So I think the Tennessee's in a really good spot. But Pete, what are your thoughts on this whole situation with Kirby Smart?
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? I mean, heck, you've been calling it, hey, we love that Caleb stayed true to his word since he was 7 years old. I know I ain't going to Georgia. He stayed true to it, and I couldn't be more proud of the kid for saying that. But what's going to take for us to get an investigation started on those guys? I mean, how many leaks of information, things that come out before we get a full board investigation? I want every text message, I want every email, I want every phone call, I want every freaking I want your cars tracked, I want your phones tapped, I want everything. Okay, let's put these guys under a microscope. And because I'm telling you, they're doing so much illegal stuff. It's only a matter of time before they get caught. And you got the ESPN article came out. We talked about here a few weeks ago. All these message boards talking about Caleb was on campus, they're tampering, and I'm be surprised if Caleb willingly, went ahead and did that to try to get these guys in some trouble. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to put down the kid, but I'll be surprised. But but that's Georgia for you. They're cheaters, and it came back to bite them right here. I mean, they just knew they had them on Twitter. They just knew they had them. Some guy tweeted out. It's actually like a podcast. Something about big time podcast, Georgia podcast. Tweet out, big news coming. Here it comes. and then I went back and looked at it after the announcement is going to Ohio State, and there were people just roasting them. Like, this didn't age well. Just roasting them, and you just love to see it. Anytime Georgia takes one of those types of big old L's, you love to see it. But yeah, man, Caleb Downs, if he would have went to Georgia, I mean, we know he is a generational type player.
For sure.
Going onto a roster like Georgia's that's already loaded, he would have stepped on that campus and probably been the best player in that defense immediately. And that's saying a lot, especially coming from true freshman last season. He's definitely a guy up there with an Eric Berry type guy. So huge that he didn't go there. And hey, go up there at Ohio State and do your thing, ball out, have fun, go, seriously, go chase your title, just enjoy it, man. You made the right choice, and I wish the best for him going forward. Hope he's a top 5 draft pick. Hope he gets everything he wants out of that decision. So super happy for him.
Yeah, well, you know what? Chase it, but I don't want to see them winning it because I want Tennessee to win it every single season. Right. But I mean, he's going to do very, very well up there. I just think that whole Big Ten ball, I think it fits him perfectly, especially now that you've got some of these, Pac-12 teams coming into the Big Ten. He's going to get a great opportunity to get a whole lot of interceptions, a whole lot of big hits. I mean, he's going to do great. Something else that I didn't mention was for those of y'all who saw Caleb's father, okay, he spoke with Steve Wiltfong, and he actually said, he was like, well, we don't have a whole lot of time. We want to go with the coaches that we know. And he kind of like set it up to make it look like they was going to be going to Georgia. Mm-hmm. I honestly feel like that was all on purpose because they can't stand Georgia. We can't stand them either. And I think that most people who actually live in Georgia, okay, especially, if your parents didn't grow up here or, if y'all aren't a fan of Georgia, people hate Georgia. Okay. For those of y'all who don't understand, like Alabama fans, they're bad. Florida fans, they're bad. It ain't nothing worse than Georgia fans. They are horrible. So this could not have happened to 3 fan bases that deserved it any more than what it did. But especially this happening to Georgia and what's coming after this now. Again, some guys are about to start leaving Georgia. Watch out for that spring window. Okay, I would not be surprised if some of these guys say, "I just want to get the heck up out of here," and make Georgia's roster look a whole lot worse. I think that Tennessee right now is in a great position to be able to win a whole bunch of games. Right now, really the only games that look kind of tough would be probably still, I would say, that Georgia game. I think Alabama is going to be like an 8, maybe 9 win team. Okay, they just don't have enough talent. Too many people have left. They're up to almost 30 players leaving them. And then, obviously Florida sucks. I would say maybe Oklahoma would be another tough game for us. But I think that Tennessee has more than enough talent to be able to beat them. Now, something else that I will say from that Polynesian Bowl, that kid, David Stone, dude, so he's going to Oklahoma. We've talked about him on this channel. That guy, he is exactly what you want. I think that he's going to go down as one of the best, probably defensive linemen that we've seen in the past probably 5 to 10 years. He's a dog. I've seen him in several All-Star games. And then, you listen to him talk and stuff. He's the truth. So I think that we need to make sure that we are still talking to him. Okay. We kind of talked about, we probably need to start doing a little bit more tampering, but he's a guy that we want to stay very close to because I don't think that he will leave Oklahoma, but if he ever wants to, we need him bad. Okay. Especially because we know that we need some tackles. So that's how I'm looking at it, man. And, I could not be happier with where Tennessee football is right now, but that's going to be it for this video because we got to get ready to watch Tennessee go out here and whoop up on Alabama. We haven't talked about basketball yet, but I think that man, I think that DK, I think he might be the best player in the entire country, and he could possibly be the best player in Tennessee basketball history. He's the truth. So we will have some more, we will be talking about him some more and all of Tennessee basketball coming up here shortly. And also we will have a Lance Hurd film breakdown coming up for all the members of this channel. If you would like to see that, then please become a member of this channel by clicking that join button just below this video. And we'll also have something like a highlight tape or, something like that for the Polynesian Bowl for all of our players. That'll be out here probably within the next couple of days. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank y'all, as always, for tuning in and sticking all the way to the end. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks. Peace.